Once again, good afternoon and welcome. Today, the United States Army Military District of Washington, represented by the soldiers of the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, and the United States Army Band, Pershing Zone, pay a special tribute to Lieutenant General Karl H. Gingrich, Deputy Chief of Staff G8, who is retiring after 36 years of distinguished service to the United States Army and our nation. Participating in today's review, from left to right, is the United States Army Band, Pershing Zone. Formed in 1922 by then Army Chief of Staff General John J. Blackjack Pershing, the United States Army Band is the premier band of our senior service. Pershing Zone provides musical support for ceremonies and special events in our nation's capital and throughout the United States. The United States Army Band is under the direction of First Lieutenant Bernardo Mite and led by Drum Major Matthew Carmichael. Elements of the Old Guard include Honor Guard Company, commanded by Captain Taylor Massa and led by First Sergeant Shane Grinder. Next online is Charlie Guard Company, commanded by Captain Noah Van Blarkum and led by First Sergeant Stephen Day. Next online is Head Hunters Company, commanded by Captain Jacob Chung and led by First Sergeant Dylan Eby. Following is the Commander-in-Chief's Guard, patterned after the unit created by General George Washington in 1776 to be his personal guard. The Commander-in-Chief's Guard is commanded by Captain Sean Martin and led by Staff Sergeant Peter Fortunato. The last element online dressed in the Continental Musician's uniform is the United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. During the American Revolution, musicians wore the reverse colors of their parent infantry unit. The men and women of the United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps maintained this tradition by wearing red coats instead of the infantry blue. The Corps is led today by Drum Major Barrett Newman. Ladies and gentlemen, moving into position is the Commander of Troops for today's ceremony, Colonel Thomas Kilbride, Commander, 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. Since the days of the American Revolution, the colors have been one of the most important elements of a military unit. Therefore, taking the center of our formation in just a moment and bearing the national color is the nation's foremost color team, the 3rd Infantry's Continental Color Guard, led by Staff Sergeant Eric Drizwicki. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the advancing of the colors.
arms. Staff, order. Order! Order! Arms! Order! Fire lock! And 1, and 2, and 3. Post the colors. Staff. Right. Face. Colors. Forward. March.
Please be seated.
Staff. Left. Face. Color, ready, color, just center, dress. Officers, just the doors, dress. Color, ready, front. Officers, ready, front.
The history of the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment reflects the growth and development of our nation. 55 well-earned battle streamers, 2 Valorous Unit Awards, 3 Meritorious Unit Commendations, and 5 Superior Unit Awards attest to the Old Guard's record of bravery in action and achievements during peacetime. In 1922, the War Department granted permission for the Old Guard to pass in review with bayonets fixed. The Old Guard will now fix bayonets to the traditional beat of the drum.
Sound, fixed, bayonet.
Ladies and gentlemen, taking the reviewing stand is the reviewing official for today's ceremony, Lieutenant General Karl H. Gingrich, accompanied by the host, General Randy A. George, Chief of Staff of the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as honors are rendered and remain standing for the invocation delivered by Army Chief of Chaplains, Major General William Green, Jr., United States Army.
Staff, present, arms. Coat, ready, coat. Pup, ready, pup, ready. Rust. Stack, pup, ready. Rust.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Major General William Green, Jr.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please bow with me as I ask God's blessings upon this retirement ceremony. Almighty God, our help in ages past and our hope for every tomorrow, we gather with grateful hearts to honor Lieutenant General Karl Gingrich for decades of service marked by courage, sacrifice, and devotion to our Army and to our great nation. Heavenly Father, you have blessed him with wisdom to lead, strength to endure, and character to inspire. For your faithfulness and for the countless lives lifted by his leadership, we give thanks. We especially give thanks for Lori, Aubrey, Connor, and Jessica, whose steadfast love and support have made all the difference in the world. Pour out your richest of blessings upon this dear family. Surround them with your peace, crown them with joy, and let your goodness and mercy follow them all of their days. And now, Lord, continue to empower our Army. Keep freedom's flame burning bright, that liberty's light may continue to shine upon our great nation and across the world. In your holy name, I pray. Amen.
Please be seated.
Sound up. full guard. Attention! 1 and 2. Code, right shoulder, on. Code, ready, code. Post staff. Staff. Right. Face.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the advancing of the colors and remain standing for the United States National Anthem, sung by Staff Sergeant Ethan Zorak Green.
Colors. Forward. March. Sir, first to be honored and colors present.
Shoulder, fire locks.
And 1, and 2, and 3. Present! Present! Arch! And 1, 2, and 2, and 3. Detachment. Present! Arch!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order! Arms!
Please be seated.
Order! Arms!
Order, firelocks,
And one, and two, and three. Ceremony. At east. And one, and two. Step. Ceremony. At east.
General George is now moving into position to honor the retiree and spouse. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 9th, 1918, has awarded the Distinguished Service Medal to Lieutenant General Karl H. Gingrich, United States Army, for exceptionally meritorious service to the government in duties of great responsibility over a 36-year career, culminating as the Headquarters, Department of the Army, Deputy Chief of Staff G8. Lieutenant General Gingrich's unique career represented a keen strategic intellect and analytic understanding of complex Army problems. Lieutenant General Gingrich's distinguished service and devotion to soldiers and their families over his career are in keeping with the highest traditions of service and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army, and the Department of War. Signed, Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll, and the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Randy A. George. Headquarters, Department of the Army Special Orders. By order of the Secretary of the Army, the following general officer is retired. Lieutenant General Karl H. Gingrich. General George is now presenting the United States flag to Lieutenant General Gingrich for his faithful service to his country. The Department of the Army has awarded the Public Service Commendation Medal to Mrs. Lori A. Gingrich for her outstanding contributions in support of the United States Army from February 2024 to February 2026. Mrs. Gingrich's unwavering support was instrumental to Lieutenant General Gingrich's success as the Headquarters Department of the Army Deputy Chief of Staff G8. Mrs. Gingrich's loyalty and dedication are in keeping with the highest traditions of volunteerism and service and bestow great credit upon herself, the Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff G8, and the United States Army. On the occasion of retirement of this distinguished soldier, we also recognize the outstanding service of Mrs. Lori A. Gingrich, who is being presented with a Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation for her faithful and devoted service. It is dedicated support which made possible such a lasting contribution to our nation. Signed, General Randy A. George, Chief of Staff of the Army. We are proud to recognize Lieutenant General Gingrich and Mrs. Gingrich's devotion to our country, and we wish them happiness and prosperity in their well-earned retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the posting of the colors.
Post the colors. Step. Right. Face.
Please be seated.
Left. Face. Pass and review. Old guard. Pass and review. Right. Backward. Face. Right shoulder. Right shoulder. Arm. Advance. Fire blocks. And 1 and 2 and 3. Front wing close to the rear. Hold. Step. March. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, General George.
All right, good morning, everyone. Who's grateful for Comedy Hall this morning? Indoor activities, so beautiful here. I'm always love our old guard. They're amazing every time they're in there, and I'm glad we march them up before the speeches, but what a wonderful organization. I want to start off like I normally do. I want all the G8 folks, I'm going to see who's at work this morning. I would like the G8 folks to stand up that are in here. They're all over there. Damn, there isn't anybody over in the Pentagon. Just a big round of applause for this team. The folks that are resourcing the Army, equipping the Army, probably the most difficult meetings we have. There's always somebody from the G8. They're the ones that always bring us those headaches, or helping us to solve those headaches. So big thanks to them all. Secretary Wormuth, great to see you. Dr. Whitley, thank you guys for being here. I know you've been in a whole bunch of those meetings with Karl, those headache meetings. Vice, DUSA, DAS, SMA, appreciate everybody being here this morning. And like I said, I know there's other faces here from the Army staff, especially those in the fight with Karl and have been in the fight with Karl on a daily basis. There's no foxhole quite like the budget foxhole, and Karl's been holding his ground in that fight for years and years. But before we talk about Karl or his wonderful service to our Army and our nation, I want to take a moment to recognize the rest of Team Gingrich. First and foremost, Lori. Karl and Lori met at Fort Knox's best-known social spot. I'm sure many in here have been there, the Fiddler's Green, famous or infamous O Club. It was a dry county, I remember back then, wasn't it, Karl? While he was at the Armor Officer Basic Course in 1989. And Lori has spent over 30 years as an elementary school teacher in Germany, Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, and Virginia, balancing a full career with Army life and raising two very successful kids. Lori, thank you for supporting the soldiers and families who served with Karl, being a steadfast teammate and supporter to your soldier, and ensuring the whole Gingrich family was strong and successful. And a big congratulations to you also. I don't know, would we be worse trying to lead a bunch of elementary kids around or being in a budget meeting, but Lori just retired from a very long, distinguished career as a school teacher, and let's give her a big round of applause. We've got both Gingrich kids here today. First, Connor and his wife, Jessica. Connor is a manager in the accounting department of GE Appliances in Louisville. Connor, I understand you're a natural in the finance world and passed your CPA exams on the first attempt. Obviously, some math runs in that family. And I can't imagine where you got your penchant for accounting. And his wife, Jessica, is a transplant care coordinator and registered nurse. Also here is Karl and Lori's daughter, Aubrey, who recently graduated from the University of Kentucky. Dean's List every year. Karl, were you on the Dean's List every year? Okay, I didn't figure so. And I didn't get a chance, Aubrey, to talk to you about what your career plans are, but available to you if the Army is an option right after this. Got the big no. You two are examples of why the military is a great place to grow up, independent, successful, resilient, and self-reliant, and you both have the key ingredient, character. So great to see you. Thanks for all that you've done along this Army journey. Karl, I want to take a second to recognize both of your parents today, though they've passed. I know that you grew up in a rough part of Philadelphia. Your father worked in the steel industry and your family didn't have much by most people's measure, and yet your parents, William and Ardith, made sure that you had everything you needed. Most especially, they gave you an unrelenting work ethic, sense of responsibility, and self-reliance, and a straight ethical arrow. Quite frankly, the best and most important things, in my opinion, that parents can provide. Though I wish they could have witnessed your retirement, I'm confident that they are both very proud of all that you've accomplished for our Army and our nation. Watching online are Lori's parents, Tommy and Sweetie, also hardworking people. I understand that even in his 80s, Tommy still puts in 40 hours a week. Thanks for your support to Karl and Lori, and for tuning in to watch this celebration. There's some other Gingrich family members here as well. Karl's sister Laura, CGO of the Archbishop of Camden, New Jersey, and Laura's husband Jimmy. Connor's in-laws, Jessica's parents, are also here, Scott and Gina from Evansville, Indiana, and we were just talking about the big Indiana-Ohio State game that's coming up this weekend. Karl's niece, Elena, and her husband Mike, and their children, Evan and Wyatt, and another niece, Caitlin, and husband Brant, here with their newborn son, Torin. And so many Army friends and teammates, it would be impossible to mention them all. Thanks, everyone, for being here and helping us to honor Karl and Lori. Karl, you've had an outstanding career. Led tactical formations as an armor officer early in your career before you found your inner nerd for complex problems, and transitioned to be an operations research systems analyst officer, or ORSA. As an ORSA, you served in force development on the Joint Staff and the J-8, on the Defense Base Closure and Realignment Commission, in the Army G357 and in PA&E, and in multiple leadership assignments at the GO level, Director of Resource Management at the Installation Management Command, Assistant PEO for Operations Readiness and Fielding at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Director of Capability and Resource Integration at U.S. Cyber Command, and the Director of PA&E. Karl, I'm not going to lie, every one of those jobs on that list gives me a headache, even thinking about it. But we've been blessed to have you in them. These are unsexy, demanding, and full of difficult problems, and you did each of them extremely well and with dedication. They allowed you to see across the Army and to understand the big picture, and made you an invaluable asset to the Army team over these 3+ decades. Karl, I'll sum you up with this. You are an expert. No one understands Army resourcing better than you. You are smart and incisive and understand details, which has made you a master at the task you've been given, which is essentially to be the bare-knuckle boxer for the Army. You are a straightforward leader, never beating around the bush or shying away from challenges. Finally, you put the work in. I think there are a few who can match your work ethic, and it made you the unsung hero of the Army staff. I'll pass this on from Jim Pascaret, who regretted not being able to attend, but says he is here in spirit, and I'm going to deliver it verbatim. The Army has been lucky to have Karl Gingrich as the G8 for the last couple of years, especially given his unique ability to defend the Army position in the Pentagon wars that he operates in. I saw Karl in action as a PA&E from 2019 to 2021 in 3-star programmers and many DMAGs when I was a G8. His dispassionate, logical, and straightforward way of making the Army's argument before the senior OSW leadership carried the day many, many times. All I had to do was say what he said when I was asked my thoughts. About 99% of those in the Army do not recognize or appreciate what Karl Gingrich has done to support and protect our team, especially in these times when the Army is considered a bill payer for other department priorities. No one was better prepared to be the G8 and make a difference on day one than Karl Gingrich. He had done all the hard resource and requirement jobs in the Army and worked about 10 POMs over time. It is not an intuitive process. Having experience matters. Most importantly, Karl Gingrich is one of the best people I've ever come across. There was no pretense with Karl. I always knew where he stood on a topic or an issue, which you don't find in many people. He let me know if he didn't agree with me on a myriad of issues, which I appreciated. I leaned on him countless times, and he always delivered a first-time go product. He has the intestinal fortitude to call balls and strikes as he sees them to those in power that may not like what they hear. He is a superb leader, and his demeanor is invariable, steady. Our only dust-up in life is when I beat him in the 2004 Philadelphia Marathon. It is an amazing comeback victory that is being considered by Hollywood for a movie. Sounds like a thriller. I don't think Karl has ever gotten over that defeat. Karl and Lori, we wish you the best in retirement, starting with a relaxing and joyful holiday with the family, although I understand that the Gingrich family has some scars when it comes to Christmas dinner. Something about Karl making an incredible prime rib and his green egg and Connor's dog helping himself when no one was looking. But thanks to Lexi the dog, you all now have a great holiday story to recall year after year. Karl and Lori, I'm sure that a lot of new adventures await you in the coming years, and I hope you are open to letting us all stop by your big old house in Lexington, Kentucky from time to time to say hello and to raid your beer fridge. Please keep in touch. Congratulations. Happy retirement to you both, and thanks for all that you've done for our Army and our nation this will defend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Gingrich.
Pardon me, my eyesight's not as good as the Chief's. Let me start today, first off, good morning. Let me start by thanking some critical people who made this event possible today, the unsung heroes. Thank you to the Protocol Office, our narrator, Staff Sergeant Zorak Green for the great rendition of the national anthem. Can we give him a round of applause? Chaplain Green, who's been just an absolute great teammate and a shepherd for our flock, and I really do appreciate him being here personally. And the entire GA team, especially Dusty, Scott, Chris, and Austin, thank you for making this a first-rate event and a special day for our family. Lori and I had the honor to live on Fort Myer for a number of years, and we were always awed by the standards displayed by the Old Guard, the Army Band, Pershing's Own, the Commander-in-Chief's Guard, and the Fife and Drum Corps. We are humbled today by your support for this event. Calvin Coolidge said, "No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been the reward for what he gave." I hope I have measured up to warrant this honor today. Thank you. Chief, thank you for hosting today. You have been busy in events like this lately, and I know we've made some adjustments so you can get down to Bragg today for additional ceremonies. I know your speechwriter is working overtime. I'm personally thankful you didn't call me Heidi, Tony, or Drew today, so I think you're doing great so far. I am thankful to you and Secretary Driscoll for your faith in me and the opportunity to continue to serve in our Army as long as I had. In retrospect, I believe the G8 has effectively implemented your collective vision for our Army. We're on the right path, and we're getting after it every day. My family and I are truly honored and thankful for Honorable Wormuth being here today. Madam Secretary, I owe you a lot. I always will hold you in high regard and stand ready to pay back in the future. Dr. Whitley, thanks for being here today, sir. It's always great to see you. I also must thank General McConville. I know he's not here today, but he's the one who put me on this path and took that initial element of risk in placing me in this position. Let's see. I can see General Mingus, Vice, thanks for being here. Beth DeRoss from OSD. Beth, you've been a friend since I think I was a major. It's great to see you, and thanks for being here one last time. Dusa, always good to see you. I don't get to see you much anymore. Thanks for being here. Das, Sergeant Major of the Army. I hope so. I hope so. We'll see how the Gunners do this weekend. Let's see, who else? Oh, Brad Skillman, Vice Admiral Brad Skillman. We now have a joint event. We do have a naval officer here. He's the U.S. Navy N8, kind of my fellow programmer, who is equally as numb as I to bills, bill payers, strategic priority lists, and other forms of bureaucratic torture. Thank you, Brad, for being here. Really do appreciate it. The number of friends, mentors, and teammates in the crowd, as well as those not able to be here, especially with the bad weather, are too numerous to call out individually. I have called them out at every promotion ceremony I've ever been privileged to have, but we'll only call out one today. And he's the one I've called out probably every time I've been promoted, and that's Master Sergeant Retired Truman Payne. He was my first platoon sergeant, and a man I hold in the highest regard, who set me on the path that ends soon. I carry the lessons with me today that he taught me. He represents all the non-commissioned officers who shaped me in the leader I am today. Thank you to him and to all other teammates for being here, and thank you for your years of support for Team Gingrich. And I will call Truman on my way home to Kentucky just to check in on him at his farm in North Carolina. After 36 years of service, I have just a few thoughts and will be brief. I know many, General Dahl, sir, I apologize. One of my best bosses ever. I have to call him out. I have just a few thoughts and will be brief. I know many of you have attended quite a few of these ceremonies, and the officer always says that, and then drones on for a while. Start your watches, we'll see how I do. The Army has been great to me and the Gingrich family, placed me on the path out of the inner city, as the chief talked about, and to my wife of Lori of 35 years. I love her dearly, and know I could not have done it alone. Through good and not so good, she has always been there with me. I love you. While I believe I have made an impact on the Army and our soldiers, it pales in comparison to her 30-plus years of teaching and the impact she has had on the children in the many communities that we have been stationed. In retirement, I hope to avoid the old adage, a retired husband is often a wife's full-time job, because she has earned her retirement just as well as I have. Our two children, Connor and Aubrey, amaze me every day. Their resilience and character, a product of a military career. With our daughter-in-law, Jessica, we continue to add great people to our family, including her parents, Scott and Gina, who came in from Indiana to celebrate with us. The Army has forged us into a strong family that values character, education, service, and hard work. Few other professions can do that. My mom, dad, and brother Kenny are watching from heaven, I am sure. They were here for part of the journey, but have forever been in our hearts. My in-laws, Tommy and Sweetie, as the chief called out, are back in Kentucky, watching today on the webcast as they could not travel to be here. They too were a critical aspect in our career. You can't do it alone. They were always there for us all along the way. My sister Laura and her family, who have been arriving every few minutes here, it seems. A little bit of problem on the road there. Jimmy, Elena, Mike, Avon, Wyatt, Kate, Brant, and the newest member, Torin, who I think is about 4 months. He's over there holding strong right now. Have always been the core of my fan club. Their support has been essential, and I thank you all for supporting this one last event. Truly is the last event. I am humbled that God has delivered us to this place. I am humbled that I could continue to serve for as long as I have, and I believe I have led with character and used my rank for good throughout my career. I am humbled to have served in and led the G8 for many years, learning from them, being challenged to be better by them, and to have served alongside of them day in and day out. It is said that the character of an organization is founded on the character of their leaders. And if you look at what the Army and the G8 has been through over the last several years, I know of very few organizations who have navigated the tumult with more professionalism, character, and selfless service, period. You'll notice I said the character of its leaders, plural. That's because my wingman of the last few years has been Brian Schoen. I could not have done it without him or the many other great leaders we have had in the G8. Leaders like Work, Robinson, thanks for being here, Lori, Howerton, John, I know you're here somewhere, Locke, McCurry, Schmidt, O'Connor, Stoddard, and I can go on. Just fabulous leaders. While I'm leaving you behind, Brian, I know you will not allow the organization to skip a beat. You are too good and always made us better. I would be remiss if I didn't call out the unsung heroes who get little fanfare, but who are critical to the success of senior leaders like myself, our EAs and XOs. You never hear their names. Well, you'll hear them today. Great officers I have been honored to serve alongside, like Lennox, Kehoe, Graham, Williams, Phillips, Cook, San Nicholas, Johnson, Hart, and the very best, Major Dusty Medley, who did try to kill me in Scotland running up to Arthur's Seat, but I will not hold that against him. Sir, it's just right down the road. You'll be fine. 4 miles later, several mountains later, we arrived back in a puddle. So as my marathon comes to an end, even though it often seemed like a sprint, I leave you with this. Soon I will hang up the uniform one last time, but my commitment to the oath many of us have taken will remain resolute. An oath that we have sustained for 250 years, built on collective sacrifice, determination, and courage. We must never take our liberty for granted, and as I step aside and I am relieved of my post one last time, I know the next generation of leaders will do their part, and I will be there in any capacity to support them and to support our great Army. Thank you all again for coming out and celebrating with us today. Each of you has played a significant role throughout my career, and for that, I am ever thankful. At many retirement events that I have hosted, I have used the following quote because of its simplicity and its message. It is by Mr. Rogers. Yes, that paragon of our youth, those seasoned in the crowd, that Mr. Rogers, who said, often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. Lori, Connor, Jessica, and Aubrey, let's get after that something else. Thank you. Appreciate you being here today. This will defend.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Army Song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please remain in place until the departure of the official party. You are welcome to join Lieutenant General Gingrich and his family for a receiving line taking place on the floor to your front. Thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.